Hello. My name is Kerri. Today I would like to talk more about the Mandela Effect. In every journey towards the light, and your own ascension path, you will find stumbling blocks, hurdles and blockades. The darkness seeks to strengthen its own position, and will thwart your attempts, in the hope you will fail. It is important to see what the darkness is, but it's just as important to not feed it, to not give it more power, from the darkness of your own thoughts, when you get angry or fearful. These things, as violence also does, feeds the darkness. Try to see the darkness without a dark response. Feed it light and dissipate its power. Instead of despair, see hope and a vision of a better future, and start working towards it from this moment on. Have faith that humanity is wise enough, people are wise enough, to eventually rise above it, and we will. In my previous video, I wanted to focus on the natural occurrence of what the Mandela Effect is a part of, an ascension process. Today my focus is not one that is so positive, in respects of a natural ascension, but negative, in respect of tampering with the natural process by unnatural means. This unnatural tampering is revealed to me through my recurring dreams, which I will detail further on here, along with how timelines are being corrupted. But first I will explain how I see the ascension process, so you may understand how my dreams of corrupted timelines relates to ascension. There are more than two choices in the ascension process, as one astute listener pointed out. There are indeed several other choices an individual may choose. The earth is ascending, and not all people will choose to ascend with the earth to a higher dimensional existence. Some may choose to ascend to another dimension, or different system entirely, some will even leave this galaxy to follow their own path. These are the main choices before humanity, if they choose an ascending path. Each individual, who has chosen an ascending path, will start to consciously will themselves onto the timeline of their choice, where their ascension can proceed as they desired. There is, however, another group who is on an ascending path, and this is also a choice, but by the majority opinion, their choice would be perceived as unnatural. It is not natural, and they use technology to fake ascension. Natural ascension is achieved through personal growth, and your own enlightenment. An unnatural ascension requires no personal growth, and a person can be filled with only self-serving desires, and many of the negatives we experience in this world today. You can't ascend naturally, with negatives in your own self. There has to be a natural unity of balance within yourself. This group, who are attempting an unnatural ascension, and corrupting timelines, are known by many names. The powers that be. Old family money and power. The New World Order. The elite. The Kabbalah, or hidden. Then there are the multitude of sub-branches, the Illuminati, Zionists, Skull and Bones, Club of Rome, United Nations, governments, the media. The branches of its web are many, and worldwide. This group of people have enough money, power, and resources, to achieve their desired path to ascension. In their ascended version of Earth, we continue under their control, rather than our intended natural path. This is already happening, and is called trans-humanism. If this group are successful, our natural ascension will be encased or trapped, within the artificial reality created. Many are already calling it the Matrix. But this is only one possible choice. Within such an artificial ascension framework, some will choose yet again, not to ascend that way, and with their own will, shift to another timeline. I could go on for hours describing how many choices mean many paths. It would be impossible to explore all the paths to ascension. For each path, for each individual, it's a choice for their own journey and soul experience. So when I talk about ascension, there is both positive and negative choices that people will make. Nobody is forced to ascend, and if it were any other time and place, you could say no, and just continue here on Earth, in the reincarnation cycle, until the next opportunity. However, this time around is slightly different. Not only do humans have the opportunity to evolve, but the Earth is going through an ascension process as well. To live on Earth, you must match the pulse of the planet. You have to be operating in the same range as the planet. The Schumann resonance is rising still, and the 7.83 Hz it once was, is now over 15 Hz. We have to match the Earth's increase, piece for piece, or we will slip out of vibrating range. In simple terms, I can't sugarcoat the harsh experience, for those who are vibrating out of Earth's range, and what they will encounter. A natural ascension, for those holding too many negatives, is almost impossible, unless augmented with trans-humanism technologies. So for those not choosing any ascension, you have chosen a different path, but it can no longer continue on Earth. You will continue onto another planet already prepared, where you can continue this 3D mindset and linear time, and the reincarnation cycle. There are many choices for individuals at this time, but the Earth will not support a 3D mindset and linear time for much longer. Those who can't match her, will have to leave. For those leaving the Earth's 3D to go to another 3D planet, they will start to diverge from the timelines of those who have chosen ascension. Those choosing to leave the Earth for another 3D planet, will be on a much more turbulent timeline, than those ascending and staying on Earth. For those wanting to continue the 3D experience, you will go through a death cycle, so you may be reborn within the 3D planet of your choice. That is pretty much how I understand the broad outline of ascension. As I said before, it's impossible to list every individual path and choice. These are what I see as basic summaries, and not meant as a detailed and all-encompassing account. I said I was quickly going to talk about ascension, but it's not a simple subject to try to put simply. It's one of the things your heart needs to be used for, instead of logic. Before, I discussed a group that seeks an artificial ascension, and it is their activities that bring to mind my two recurring dreams. One is about the misuse of technologies, causing planetary extinction events in the past, and the other is the use of technologies, polluting or corrupting timelines in our present. Now, before I discuss what I mean about these warnings involving technologies, I will tell you the second recurring dream I had, in 2008. I described my childhood recurring dream in a previous video, in which the Earth and all life was being destroyed. I believed for many years it was a premonition of the future, until I realized it was both. This was a memory, and had occurred in the past. It is also a warning for our immediate future, to not repeat history. Now, I will recount my recurring dream from 2008, the ones that were happening at the same time I experienced Hurricane Katrina, in a different timeline, and time perception distortions. I can recall the details of my recurring dreams in greater detail from 2008, than I could for my previously mentioned childhood one. Every night for weeks, I would have the same dream, and wake up in shock. After a couple of weeks, I began to dread going to sleep. I didn't want to have the dream again. It's not nice to be drowning every night. I tried everything to set my mind in different directions, hoping I wouldn't end up in the same nightmare. I thought pre-sleep suggestion might divert my dreams elsewhere. It didn't work. I know of only one way to stop it, from many previous experiences, both in conscious and subconscious sensing, was to tell someone. As soon as you acknowledge it, by voicing it out loud to someone else, it stops. So I told my husband, and that night I had the same dream, but this time I didn't drown, and there was a conclusion. The next night, the recurring dream didn't happen. I knew it had completed its message, that I had to acknowledge this important message, even if I didn't understand it yet. There is always time enough to understand things later, when the time is right. Time reveals all truths eventually. In my dream, I am on a big boat, like a cruise ship size, and it's rapidly sinking. People are running around, trying to find a way off the boat, looking for life rafts that aren't there. I can't see any of these other people, I just know they are going in all directions looking for escape, and I can hear them, sort of. The boat is already half sunk, and it's poking out of the water, like the final moments of the Titanic, before it completely sinks. Time is running out, but it's hard to move around anywhere, because the floor is now a wall, the wall becomes the floor, and all the doorways are now holes you can fall through. I am on my own, there are no other people around to help, and I have to find a way to escape, or die. Things are flying around everywhere, making it even more difficult to move. Suddenly I find myself at an opening in the boat, and a way to escape, just in time before it goes under. I look around, thinking about the safest way to not get sucked down, then the next thing I'm submerged in the water, struggling to surface and drowning. Then I wake. Every night after that, for weeks, the same dream. But each night it was from a slightly different perspective, a different part of the ship, different things flying about. It was the same ship, same attempt to escape, same escape ledge, same drowning, just different parts of the ship I started each time. It's like in a game, when you go on a mission, fail and die. You restart, and keep trying, many different ways if you have to, until you succeed. Once you pass the mission, you can move on to the next one. I had weeks of this nightmare, and I wanted it to stop, so I told my husband, because I knew that would work, and it did. That night, I was on the ship again, same stuff trying to escape, then I end up in the water drowning. But this time, I'm not thrashing around trying to reach the surface. I am suddenly lifted underneath from my stomach, and under both my shoulders and arms. It was 3 dolphins, raising me to the surface. As I surfaced, I noticed the dark clouds were gone, and it was really sunny and calm. I saw a beautiful tropical island, white sand, and clear crystal blue water, you know, the typical holiday scene on a small remote and uninhabited island. The dolphins surfed me toward the island. I was still laying face down, but the dolphins raised me enough out of the water. As we got near the shore I could see a small jetty. As we got to the shallow water the dolphins split off. I body surfed the rest of the way on the momentum they had given me. As I am coming into land, I can hear the dolphin warn me as he is swimming off, "Beware the poison water," he said. I thought, what? Then the next thing I was on that small jetty. As I stand on the jetty, a small clear vial, full of liquid, tumbles through the air towards the water. I know it's poison, and if it falls into the water it's not going to be good, everyone will be infected. I dive for the vial as it goes into the water, trying to catch it. I miss, and the vial breaks. I panic, I know this is poison, and I am expecting to die now. Then I realize, I'm still underwater and I'm not drowning, in fact I seem to be able to breathe, somehow. I can breathe, and the poison has no effect on me. Then I woke. This was a far more pleasant ending to my dream, than what I had experienced for the last several weeks. But it did leave me with questions. I knew it all related to space water, but I didn't know how it could be poisoned, or what space water really was. I did know, however, that whatever the poison water was, it wouldn't affect me. In simple terms, space water is, space-time and dimension, the great ocean of experience and existence. The poison is the unnatural that corrupts the waters of timelines. Every night I saw the ship from a different perspective, but it was the same theme, escape. I was meant to notice this difference, because the ship represents timelines, and all the possibilities. The poison water is sinking ships, or interference in space-time is destroying timelines. I've learned a lot about dreams and myself over the years. Many are already aware of the deep symbolism in water, and dolphins. There is a cosmic connection, of metaphysical and spiritual significance. In essence, I have come to see this recurring dream as a warning about corruption of timelines, an unnatural and man-made corruption. I am not affected by this corruption to timelines, the poison doesn't affect me. Only those immune to the poison can see timelines change. If you are experiencing the Mandela effect, then you too are immune to the poison water, or the corrupted timeline. You know it's changed, where most haven't noticed at all. One thing I'd like to point out is, that light exists in polarity, with dark. Without the dark, there would be nothing to define the light. As I perceive there are man-made corruptions, a darkness, I also see how it has defined the light to many. It is the very evils we don't like, that enable us to choose between light and dark, to see the differences, and thereby define your own choice and path. With man-made corruptions, it has amplified the ascension energies, and many more are able to start to see other timelines exist. This is a positive in the ascension process, although negative. Negative, because you have to work harder at your own light. Positive, because many more are awakening to their own light, adding to the overall positive ascension the majority would desire. We are challenged to grow and change our perspective. When you can thank the darkness for pointing out the light to you, for the karma they take on to show you this, then you know you are at the foundations of true unity within yourself. This is how I perceive the integration of light and dark, to become as one, and exist in the reality oneness created. The law of one is now a well understood concept, thanks to Edgar Cayce. To use Edgar Cayce's terminologies, today there are the children of the law of one, and the followers or sons of Belial. These are the light and dark forces within our duality. It is our choice which one to embody, which one we feed, and that which we deny voice. It should always be remembered, that it is never too late, in this now moment, to change your mind and embody something else. Whatever leads to now, whatever your history, it doesn't matter, changing what you do in the now is the first step, and a conscious choice to being on a different path. You can change in a second, and it is that simple. Recently, I became aware of the connection between the Mandela effect, time, and my recurring dream, and the warning it contained. My head has a lot of stuff in it, lots of little puzzle pieces. Sometimes things happen, and many puzzle pieces come together. It's not that you recognize the pieces, and start putting it together to see what it forms, it's like the completed picture flashes in your head, telling the pieces that formed it. My belief on the Mandela effect is one such experience. I didn't piece it together, it was just put together as a complete picture in my head, showing how all pieces tie in. I didn't intentionally or intellectually analyze it, and come up with a theory. I just sensed it, saw it as a complete concept and how it fits. My head didn't put it together, it was my heart, my inner knowing that solved it, and put the picture in my head. The truth is, as I open myself to make a video, the story grows and changes, in ways I couldn't have anticipated. Some of the things I say come directly from the higher wisdom of my heart. In many ways, I feel I am channeling more of my higher self into the video, than my conscious self. There are many who open themselves to higher wisdom, through writing, drawing, singing, dancing, other languages, and many other creative expressions. There is limitless potential for expressing higher knowledge in many different ways. I encourage people to explore their own creative expressions, and bring out your own higher wisdom to a conscious reality. One of the pieces of puzzle I had, was my recurring dream. The only thing I was sure of was that the poison water referred to space water, but I didn't know how space water could be poisoned. This piece had remained a puzzle for 8 years, until a few weeks ago. I knew, sensed many aspects, to do with the water, the poison, and the dolphin's warning in my dream. But I also knew, I wasn't understanding everything about it yet. I was missing something. You ask yourself, what am I missing, quite a few times. As hard as you look, as much as you try to intellectualize it, you just can't see the missing piece. But I am also aware, that an answer will present itself, when you have learned enough to understand the answer. Time reveals all truths eventually, as you are ready to receive them. In my previous video, I recalled the recurring dream I had around 40 years ago. It was a past memory, of historical earth-changing events, and a warning to the future, to not repeat the same mistake. The recurring dream in 2008, was showing how man-made technology, is corrupting the very fabric of space-time. We are coming to the same point of potential. We must understand, and tread carefully, in areas we don't fully understand yet. All the best laid plans of mice and men. For every one thing you think you have considered could happen, and you have exhausted every possibility you can think of, it will always be the one you didn't think of, that brings you undone. A comment was left on one of my videos the other day, that I think is very pertinent to our world today. Biblical prophecy is unfolding today, and one quote about these times we are living, and it is, when old men will dream, dreams, and the young men will have visions, a spiritual outpouring on the earth. We are in those prophesied times, when the last days, will be as the first days. The spiritual evolution has blossomed in the last few years, growing more and more, from people awakening to their own spirituality. Every person is like a drop of light, in the ocean of light ascending. The more drops who join the ocean, the more light that is available to everyone on an ascending path. Darkness is being dissipated, with light. There is a cyclic event, disrupting our solar system, and our planet. It's happened before, and will cycle again in the future. But right now, our solar system is in close proximity to its binary partner, its opposite system. The forces are at play in our solar system, and on Earth. Powerful forces, that will cause worldwide changes. This is a natural occurrence, and can't be averted. It can, however, be minimized, or maximized, in its destructive forces. In the past, technology has compounded this natural occurrence of the Planet X system, or Planet of the Crossing, as it is historically known. I'm not going to explain here, that advanced beings and humans, did possess great technology tens of thousands of years ago. Our true history has been turned into mythology. The natural occurrence, of the Planet of the Crossing system, in close proximity, caused natural disruption. Back then, powerful technology was used, technology that disrupts the quantum particles, and the fabric of space and time. We are at the same point now, as what they were at, thousands of years ago. Will we allow the use of such destructive forces, without remembrance of what happened last time? It's happened before, more than once. We don't remember it, because our history books don't tell us. Our history books don't tell us lots of things, and sometimes just plain, outright BS. So, all this is going on right now, as well as the spiritual awakening of mankind, and our ascension into a higher dimensional plane of existence. Part of the ascension process, is to recognize the existence of or infinite timelines. It is natural evolution, to perceive ourselves changing timelines, and realize the multidimensional nature of the universe. It is, however, unnatural when timelines are changed by the use of technologies. I am getting to corrupted timelines, but it does take some foundation work, to bring pieces together as one. The world is complicated today, with billions of individual choices playing out at any one time. Those working in secret, have put every effort into keeping their business hidden, and their true intentions and activities, concealed. Compartmentalize everything, and keep people separate, is a very successful technique they use. Control the media, and what people get to see and know, is another. Their techniques are many, compartmentalized and controlling, into directing mass perception to their desired reality. I have briefly described before, what I believe is the cause of corrupted timelines, and the root cause of the Mandela Effect. But I perhaps, didn't point out very well, that the Mandela Effect, has both natural and unnatural origins. To say that technological-induced Mandela effects are the root cause, is failing to incorporate the natural evolution which brings this perception to us. We are starting to perceive time in a different way, and perceptions of our existence releases many falsehoods, and creates new truths. The strongest force at play in our ascension process is natural. Its positive strength can be quickly turned into massive destruction, if we tout the balance artificially. The group I mentioned earlier, who want an unnatural technologically enhanced ascension, have vast amounts of money, power, and resources. They own projects like CERN, HAARP, and the D-Wave quantum computer. They own everything, and they like to think they own us too. We live in a universe of duality, so for everything you will find, there are at least two ways of achieving something, in a positive way, or a negative way. This is the universal law we live by, that of choice and free will. This is duality. As we go through the ascension process, there are those who choose the positive and natural way, then there are those who choose a negative way, and need artificial means to ascend. Merely another example of the complexity of what duality creates. For those who want to cheat on the ascension process, they must have the technology to do it. They also need an Earth timeline that has the possible outcome of their successful ascension, through using technology. As I mentioned earlier, some pieces just come together on their own, and one day your mind perceives the picture, and the pieces it's made of. My dreams 40 years ago, and my dreams in 2008, are both related to what we are experiencing now. It was a video I watched only weeks ago, that took many pieces and formed a picture. It was on quantum computers, and accessing other dimensions, and their resources. As I am watching the video, these pieces started to flash through my head, and before I realized it, it had formed a picture. What I had been missing all along, to understand all the pieces, was the quantum computer. Once I realized this, other pieces came in again, to form another picture. This time it was telling me, my recurring dreams are related, and it has to do with space-time, and misuse of dangerous technologies that greatly disturb the natural forces. If not stopped, these disturbances will escalate to catastrophic events. Enter CERN, the D-Wave quantum computer, HAARP, and nanoparticles. Stage 1, Localized Effect. D-Wave quantum computers have the capacity to access other dimensions. CERN can access portals and time. Together they can access other dimensions and timelines, and in the timeline sense, can travel in time, parallel timelines, and multidimensionally. They can create localized effects, or portals, but it is not sufficient to affect the whole planet. Stage 2, Planetary-wide effect. To place the whole planet in a force field, to move it through timelines or dimensions, requires massive amounts of directed power. HAARP provides that power, as well as encompassing the globe. HAARP's power is directed by the nanoparticles left behind by chemtrails. So, we have the use of HAARP and nanoparticle technology, to encompass the Earth in an artificial bubble. And the technology of particle acceleration and collision, to create particle explosions to open portals. And a D-Wave quantum computer, to direct portals to other dimensions and timelines, and bring back resources. With the combination of all these technologies, those who can't ascend naturally, can shift the whole planet to a timeline they prefer, that favors their own desired technologically enhanced ascension. We, the people of this planet, have no idea what may have already been brought back here, or resources as they like to call them. We don't know anything about what they are doing, or bringing back. We don't know the effect it is having on the planet. Space-time is being polluted, at a quantum level. Quantum level disruptions, can erupt into catastrophic cascade, at the macro level, and disrupt matter cohesion. Everything that is physical, or is matter, exists of quantum particles, come together to form larger structures, like atoms, then atoms form elements, and then complex chemical structures and forms. As the quantum particles grow out, it becomes seen in its larger representations, some more complex than others, but all diverse. All life is made of quantum particles, so disrupting the quantum field can have disastrous effects on all life. I believe that the only clue we have to use, as to the time frame of any artificial planetary timeline shifts, may be found in a former CERN employee's statement. He claims that CERN have opened portals, and they can change events, or at least delay them, in 3-year increments. He didn't know much about what they were doing, or why, he just knew it involved tampering with the natural course of events, for 3 years. The CERN employee also said that, around April 2016, they reset it for another 3 years. What are they resetting? This employee said, "Don't ask me why it's 3 years, it's always 3 years." This caught my attention, always 3 years. What did he mean by always? How many times have they done this? I was left with 2 questions, what is being done every 3 years, and how many times have they done it? It just popped into my head, the same number of years difference between 2008 and 2005, to do with Hurricane Katrina. So when did it start? Instantly 9/11/2001 stood out, as the energy event that started a big ball rolling, that needed holding back every 3 years. Many people worldwide woke up that day, and since that time they have been trying to hold back the inevitable. This 3-year difference may have something to do with revelations of CERN creating portals to other dimensions and times, and the CERN employees' revelations. So, these things just popped into my head, but did they have any foundation to them? I started to analyze events and memories, and when I remember them. Does 2001 to 2016 fit with 3 yearly resets? 2001, 2004, 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016, so I'd say the answer is yes. I believe that, since 2001, there has been an increased and concerted effort to shift the whole Earth to other timelines, in a bid to hamper the natural ascension process, and one that will magnify their own chances at an unnatural ascension. If the information is correct, then Earth has shifted world timelines, with us included, at least 6 times now. There have been at least 6 incursions of technology upon the natural ascension process. But again, a little nagging question, the 3 years doesn't quite feel right. I can see that pattern fits some experiences, but there was more. In talking with someone else about this, I realized, it's been compartmentalized, there is more than one group doing these timeline resets at CERN, and none of them know about the others. Another nagging question, how many don't remember 9/11 happening in 2001, because they will have another clue. I didn't voice this publicly, but waited for someone to reveal it had happened to them. If my instinct was right, there would be a few who remember 9/11 differently. These questions all became related to the compartmentalization of CERN groups, each operating on a 3-year timetable, but collectively these projects can operate a worldwide effect on shorter time frames. I have had certain strange experiences in 2008, 2011 and 2014, that didn't fit into the 3-year timeline. It could just be a natural effect and not technologically induced, but that doesn't feel right. What feels right, is that at least 2 groups are operating at CERN on a 3-year timetable, with effects 18 months apart. These resets would be done around equinoxes and solstices, to utilize natural energies as well. In considering that timeline corruptions are done every 18 months, then most of my anomalies match the time frame, and it feels right, almost balanced. Most things natural are subtle, they don't come carrying a neon sign. The unnatural timeline shifts are carrying a neon sign, and makes it more noticeable to people every time it happens. The Mandela effect has waves of awareness, as the number perceiving a shifted timeline grows. The positive in CERN's negative, it is creating more awareness, not less. What does it mean to us, as individuals, to be shifted every 18 months? It means we have less time to adjust to a timeline shift, before we are shifted again. This is why so many now feel disrupted, or scattered, or confused. It affects you in ways you may not have perceived. Why can't I get to sleep? Why is your body going from highly energized to flat? Why don't I like the foods I used to? Why do people keep telling me I do things I know I didn't? Disruptions of the timeline, at quantum levels, is revealing symptoms to us, but we think it's related to the physical world, and what we have been trained to think. Doctors are for symptoms, and he will tell you the obvious: you are stressed, find ways to relax. Here, take a pill. If you have emotional issues with other people, go see a psychiatrist. If your memory isn't the same, well, you may have early Alzheimer's or dementia. To a doctor's understanding, ascension and corrupted timelines are a disease that can be treated with a pill or specialist therapy. You are broken and need fixing. Doctors are right about one thing: there is a dis-ease in the body, but his diagnosis and remedy is completely off. Doctors, like many other trained professionals, are taught to think within the framework of a predefined box. They are not scientists, with a broad understanding of the world. They are trained savants, experts in one thing, and only an expert because of what they were taught by academics, with a preset curriculum and agenda to pass the test. More people will become consciously aware of multiple timeline possibilities, and expand their mind to embrace a multidimensional reality. Every time CERN resets a timeline, more people have evolved the consciousness to step outside linear thinking, and realize, they too, are now experiencing the Mandela Effect. What is the point of this? What is the end goal, or timeline? Who benefits, and who suffers? Of course, any conjecture is open to interpretation. Some may be asking, but you don't know any of this, what makes you think this is true? I'm not asking anyone to believe what I'm saying, it's one perspective, and not the only one. I expect people to use their own good judgment. What you believe now can quickly change, so all you can do is explain how you see things now. I know this from experience, as you are sometimes forced by reality to reshape your belief system. This is part of the continual lesson of life. The use of technology in the ascension process will create a negative impact on the dimensional existence we create for the next grand cycle. The ascension process is about spiritual advancement, about soul growth. It's not something you can cheat by faking it with technology. The natural way involves humans evolving on a spiritual level and creating a harmonic world, respectful of all life and balance. This raises a person's aura, their own personal vibratory frequency, that is in sync with the dimensional plane they are experiencing. Those faking it with technology have to create their own personal higher frequency by using a pulse generator of some sort, something that reproduces frequencies high enough to maintain their existence in that dimension. But underneath the technology and the fake higher frequency lies the heart of a lower thinking being who has not evolved spiritually. It is a fake ascension, and this unevolved being carries all its negativity with it, beneath the fake exterior technology has created for it. It is a pollution, a negative energy, although veiled behind a technological field, reacts as any photon does, and is linked by hive consciousness. The photons outside the field know what's inside, and are disrupted from their natural course, and are polluted because of it. Thank you for listening. For those who don't like Dave's voice, or if you would simply like to read this, I have put a link down below for a transcript. If you liked it, then don't forget to hit the like button. If you didn't like it, then share it around anyway, someone you know might get something out of it. Be kind to each other, and yourself. Talk to you soon. Cheers from Kerri.